afternoon, everybody. So we have this triple of speeches or short keynotes on three different regulations, the US, now Switzerland, and afterwards Germany. So I was also asked to decode Swiss regulations. I put it in quotes because I'm more or less telling you a little bit about how regulation evolved in Switzerland and current topics that are being discussed. So, quick word about me. My name is Yves Holenstein. I'm the head of custody and staking at Bitcoin Suisse. We're a broker, a custodian, and a staking service provider based in the Crypto Valley in Zug, and have been one of the OGs that actually built up the Crypto Valley. I have to take it a notch up from Eric. I do know a few things about tech, but I'm not even a lawyer, and this also makes me not your lawyer, and I have to do the same disclaimer here. But I'll quickly start with what are the principles in Switzerland regarding regulation, but also the legislation that enables subsequently the regulation. So FINMA has a few prior one goals. One being the protection of clients, that could be investors or other types of clients of financial institutions or regulated institutions, and the protection of the market integrity, but also has a mandate to strengthen the reputation of the Swiss market and the innovation and the competitiveness. The way they do it is that they have a so-called principles-based regulation. They try to be as much as possible technologically and competitively neutral, and they look at the actual function of the service that is provided. So what does it represent independent of technology? And also try to apply the principle of same business, same risks, then it needs the same type of regulation. And they have had a past of trying to remove uncertainties and obstacles. And we'll come to that right now. So it started in Switzerland more or less with a federal council report. So in Switzerland, the government is basically a federal council of 7 councils that run the country. They have published an official report on virtual currencies as early as 2014. And there's various players, including the federal government, but then especially local governments that facilitated some of those activities of early projects, and one of them being the canton of Zug and some legal service providers that helped Ethereum Foundation settle in Zug and then facilitate the crowd sale that then attracted a whole lot of crypto projects to Switzerland, to the canton and the city of Zug, and made it eventually the Crypto Valley. And only 2 years later, the city of Zug started accepting Bitcoin as world's first government agency for paying services. And a few years later, also Bitcoin and Ether for taxes, again a world's first. Then in 2017, FINMA did something really, let's say, positive for the industry. They launched the Innovation Sandbox. We could also call it like a regulation-free zone. So as long as you would only have customer deposits of less than 1 million Swiss francs and adhere to anti-money laundering rules, you could actually more or less freely act. And that had really the intention to allow smaller companies and projects to not have to deal with all the regulatory difficulties and obstacles until they have a certain size and certain traction. A year later, FINMA released the ICO guidelines. There was a lot of uncertainty, especially 2017 ICO hype, about what is allowed, what is a crowd sale, what is an ICO, what do I have to do, and that provided proper clarity, and also provided for the first time a classification of what is an asset token or security, what is a payment token, and what is a utility token. So we had that already in 2018, and this has helped a lot of projects to not have, as we have it in the US nowadays, wonder what am I allowed to do, what I'm not allowed to do. Same year, world's first crypto index fund was launched that was listed on Swiss Stock Exchange, and in 2018 it was an ETP, and 2021 it was a proper fund. In 2019, Facebook's famous Libra project was basically inquiring with FINMA what are they allowed to do, what not. This led to FINMA publishing guidelines on how to treat stablecoin. And in the same year, a new type of license was launched, because the banking license was quite an obstacle for a lot of innovators and entrepreneurs. And the fintech license gives you a new type of banking license light environment, where if you don't receive more than 100 million in customer deposits and you're not active in the interest differential business, you have less regulatory obstacles to deal with. And the last big milestone in Switzerland was what we call the DLT law, which is actually not a specific law. So Switzerland took a different approach than some of the other countries. The parliament was of the opinion that there's not just one law that would fit all use cases. So what they actually did is they amended 10 different federal laws selectively to create more clarity on, let's say, digital ledger related topics. But going to staking, because I think that's what most people interested here are with, is there's currently been a bit of press coverage about staking in Switzerland, and there's a lot of uncertainty. And I want to quickly tell you what it's all about. So this summer, FINMA, for the first time, indicated that they might change the practice, their supervisory practice related to staking. So their position currently is that some forms of staking, they no longer fulfill a legal requirement in order to consider a custodial position custody as opposed to being a deposit. And this one requirement is that if you're a custodian, in order to keep assets off the balance sheet and bankruptcy remote, you have to hold them always available for your customer. And the position that FINMA now has is they say if you are offering staking services on protocols that have a slashing risk and or have exit locks, this requirement may no longer be fulfilled. This would then classify the holdings of your customers as deposits and would require a banking license. And this then has a whole lot of consequences. So at the moment, the industry has responded to that, and there's a lot of workshops going on with the regulators, and we expect to hear some more guidance from the regulators in Switzerland in the coming months. But it's a very constructive dialogue. So it's really what Eric said. It's about educating, about making clear that not every protocol is the same. Not every service provider is actually sculpturing his offering the same way. So we're now in this dialogue, and we actually hope that I can come back in a year and give you an update on what came out. So that was more or less it. Big question here. Any audience questions that I might answer? And I say thank you very much.